Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping news this evening, Pine Ridge Member of Parliament Frederick McAlpine relieved of his duties today as chairman of the Hotel Corporation. McAlpine says he was summoned to the Prime Minister's office for a meeting and was handed a letter that stated that his post as head of the Hotel Corporation had been revoked. McAlpine wasn't the only person relieved of his duties today. MP for Bain and Grantstown, Travis Robinson, was also relieved as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism and Aviation. And MP for Golden Isles, Vaughn Miller, was also relieved of his post as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Social Development. These changes coming one day after the three government members of Parliament voted against the increase in value-added tax. These three government MPs, along with MP for Centerville, Reese Chipman, joined the three members of the opposition last night in voting no to the hike in value-added tax. The vote against VAT in the House of Assembly last night was 7 noes, 24 yes, and 7 members were absent. We spoke with Member of Parliament for Pine Ridge a short time ago as he was preparing to return home from the Capitol.
I can only assume because I voted against VAT in terms of 12%. I voted against the government in the VAT voting, and perhaps that is the reason why I've been terminated. But I would say this, if I had to do it again, I would do it again. There is nothing I would change because 12% at this time is too high for the people of Pine Ridge and many people in the Bahamas. If the economy had grown, fine. I could see myself perhaps supporting this. But knowing that there's still so many unemployed people in Grand Bahama and throughout the Bahamas, and so many young people just coming out of school, I don't know what they're going to do. They don't know what they're going to do. Yes, I voted against that at 12%. If it was incrementally implemented, perhaps taking it to 10 and maybe going after that, fine.
More opposition on the upcoming value-added tax hike. The government's plan to increase VAT by 4.5% is generating criticisms from various sectors of society. Tonight, an activist group here in Grand Bahama says they plan to take action. They are called Determined for Absolute Change, and they say this Friday they are determined to let their voices be heard loud and clear. Chairman Troy Garvey says they are following on the heels of the momentum created in the nation's capital, and he is calling on all Grand Bahamians to show up for a march starting here at the old portion control grounds.
Grand Bahama has a funny set of people, but I think at this point now, the pressure that the people are facing, I believe the people are going to step out in droves because of what's transpired, even with them voting the VAT in, even more now.
Committee member Rashad Adderley also supporting the upcoming march. He says that Grand Bahamians in particular have been suffering for far too long, and he believes that the government should have had more open communication with its citizens before implementing an increase.
Yes, the country may be in a serious debt, like we've been hearing, but you know this from when you got elected. In January, when you spoke about the upcoming budget, you could have even said, okay, we're proposing to increase the VAT, maybe to 10%. How did the public feel about that?
Now, during the voting process, some 7 members of Parliament voted against the increase. Just one of those members was from Grand Bahama. DFAC member Jonathan Glinton says he believes that the members from this island should have had more compassion for the plight of Grand Bahamians.
We still have a lot of people that's displaced from their homes, living all over the place. And it's sad for you to think that it's okay for you to now impose unfair taxes on people and they still don't have the money to really live from day to day and pay the initial 7% that's been levied on us. So we need to take some steps to have these people put some brakes on what they're trying to do.
Now, Garvey admits that he does understand the predicament of the current administration and the fact that the country owes billions of dollars to lenders. However, he says He believes that another method should have been implemented to collect revenue.
Had I been the leader of the nation, I wouldn't have bring VAT back to increase. I would have bring some sort of income tax so that people could get something back on their money when they pay the tax. And so while we look at value-added tax, that's only to place on services and merchandise and products. But if you had put income tax, that does 2 to 3 different things. One, it's a taxation to bring revenue into the country. 2, it makes you pay much more attention to your economic status in your home, and your spending becomes very much more disciplined. And 3, at the end of the year, you get the opportunity to go back to file for income tax returns.
Participants are expected to begin assembling at 12 noon, and the peaceful march will make its way to the Harold de Gregory building, which houses the office of the Prime Minister. Now, while there was opposition to the increase in VAT, the budget itself got the full backing of all F&M members and members of the opposition present. The budget passed in the House of Assembly shortly after midnight, setting in motion the country's fiscal agenda, which will now go before the Senate. Member of Parliament for West Grants, Bahamas and Bimini, Bakisha Parker Edgecombe, was among 7 MPs not in Parliament for the vote. Parker Edgecombe was asked today about her absence. She explained that she, along with MPs Dion Saunders, James Aubrey, and Picewell Forbes, are currently in the Cayman Islands attending the 43rd Regional Conference of the Caribbean and the Americas and the Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Parker Edgecombe noting that she believes in the vision of the government and that this budget will provide a foundation from which the government can build. She says it is not meant to burden the Bahamian people, but she says she is confident that constituents and the Bahamians at large will find innovative ways to lead better lives and take advantage of all the budget has to offer. Now, last week, the Minister of Education, the Honorable Jeffrey Lloyd, made his contribution regarding the future of education in the country. A union executive here in Grand Bahama says that while he was generally pleased with the contribution, he still has some concerns. While making his budget contribution to the House of Assembly, the Minister of Education, the Honorable Jeffrey Lloyd, noted the integral role that technology will play in the advancement of education in the country. Area Vice President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Quinton LaRota, acknowledging that we live in a world where information has great value, and he does have a concern regarding the intellectual property of teachers.
The lessons that are going to be produced by teachers, the knowledge that are coming forth by teachers, who's going to own it? Because I see us heading to a world where, as we're already there, where information has a value that is sold and is traded. Right, and who's going to own the intellectual property produced by teachers? And so I'm looking at that and thinking that that's something that teachers should think about. We could be entering an era where lessons are recorded, right, and put into a cloud that's pulled out for students anywhere in the country to look at any time. Will that be a part of the regular compensation? Or because that's a lesson that you produce, will you own that intellectually? Can you copyright that and that be used, or will the ministry own it?
Going forward, he says that the union has to know all it can in order to provide guidance to its members. LaRota adds that salaries and salary increases are of a concern to the union.
The union is preparing, a document is almost completed, our new proposal for negotiations, and that I will leave up to the president of the union to address. Her and her team will have to negotiate with the government.
As it relates to Grand Bahama specifically, the relocation of 8 Mile Rock High School is still a major concern.
Been agitating for a new school down there for some time. It's on the way. My understanding is that it will be a junior school. And so there are 2 schools of thought in my head. The first thing is the campus now has proven to create some health challenges, and I think all the teachers there are looking forward to some relocation. But if it's just a junior school, then that won't accommodate everyone. Now, I believe you could add a few workshops down there and make it a complete school, but we'll see how that goes. The other consideration is that just in terms of our members' advancement, 2 schools gives more teachers the opportunity to become administrators, which would improve their salary, their income, give them a better opportunity to take care of their families, provide a greater sense of upward mobility. And I think about all of these things.
Megan Shepard. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Stay with us. There's more news right after this break.